I guess I should go ahead and get started then, guys. Are we ready?
Let's do that.
Perfect. All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining our webinar, Test Automation for D365 FSCM Release Cycles. Really popular and important topic coming into the new year, so we wanted to make sure that we provided some information on that. My name's Jacob Davis. I'll be the moderator for the webinar, and I'm joined today by Mateusz Łukowiec and Bartosz Śpiech. I'll do a little bit of an introduction for them here in just a minute. But before that, a little bit of housekeeping. We do have the Q&A on as well as the chat, so feel free to ask questions during the webinar. We'll take a look at the Q&A and try to answer some via text as we're going along, and we'll also try to save some time at the end to cover any questions that weren't answered yet. Today's agenda is the top 5 most common issues in D365 FSCM testing projects. Matt will take us through that and talk about the common issues that we've seen, common challenges that our customers are facing whenever it comes to their testing projects. Matt will also talk to us about something very important, how to select the right test automation tool. Of course, back at the beginning of the year, I think the attitude towards automated testing by the Microsoft community was that it'd be something that'd be really nice to have, but not necessary. And then we noticed that people started going through their first updates, and the attitude changed. Now it's definitely something people consider to be a necessity. And so choosing the correct automation tool is of high importance at this point. With that said, Bart will show us the tool that we think is the best tool on the market, Executive Automats. This is actually the tool that our company X Plus created back in 2012 to help us with our implementation projects for Dynamics. And we used that internally for a few years and then brought it to the market. And of course, came into the D365 world whenever that came out. So Bart will take us through and show us how that works. And then also talk about something very important, the test automation byproducts. So I'll leave that to Bart to let him talk about it, but this is also a really nice part of doing test automation. So looking forward to that. Excuse me. Finally, we'll talk about a customer success story, actually a few of them, and the latest project trends that we're seeing. Bart will be able to take us through that and let us know what customers are starting to look into right now and what they're doing with their projects. So that'll be really good to hear. And as I mentioned, we'll finish up with a Q&A session to answer any questions that you might have. We're happy to do that and answer all of your questions. We really are passionate about this topic. As I mentioned, Bart and Matt, they're 2 of the best in the world when it comes to test automation. So we truly do have a couple of experts here with us today to share their knowledge. So with that said, I'll turn it over to the stars of the show. Matt, I believe you're up first, and you can tell us about these common issues.
Thank you very much, Jake. I really appreciate the intro. So what I would like to talk to you about today is the most common issues or most common challenges that we see our clients facing in the D365 FSCM testing projects. So I will try to outline them. I will try to then present the solution to that, which we believe is automated testing. And then I will speak about some of the common criteria or good criteria that you can choose whenever selecting the right tool for your needs. After that, like Jake said, Bart will show you the solution, and then he will talk about some of our latest projects and how that is going. So the most common actually issue or challenge that we see clients facing is that they are using their business users to do the testing. And very often these projects are just pure chaos and nobody really knows what to do. Nobody knows where the responsibilities lay. And besides that, the business users, they have their own day-to-day job. And when they are asked to do the testing, they need to do it above their normal job. So it is creating some issues for them. So in general, testing with your business users is just not a good idea because people get sick, people get overloaded with work. So it is a much better idea to have a dedicated team to do the testing. But even if you do have a dedicated team for testing, then manual testing still may not be the right answer, because there's reliability issues. So there's always the possibility of human error. Even if you are approaching the project in a good structured way, you have a dedicated team for testing, you've got the test cases well defined, and they are going through it. There's always a deadline, and as soon as close as you get to the deadline, this reliability aspect and the probability of your testers making a mistake because they are in a hurry, they making a mistake and not testing something properly, missing a specific test case, which may result in some errors on your production, gets higher. So that brings us to the third point, which is that manual testing is simply slow, and it is often holding our clients back. Because if you have your test case is well defined, you have let's say 1,000 test cases, and you can assume that a manual tester will go through about 3 test cases in an hour of their time, because they will be taking breaks, they will be getting distracted with other work. So if you assume these 3 test cases per hour and 1,000 test cases to deliver in a full regression test cycle, then that's 333 hours. So about 42 man days of work that needs to be done. So if you've got a team of 4 testers, it will take them 2 weeks to just go through the entire test plan once. And of course, there will be bugs, there will be issues that will need to be fixed, and the test cases will need to be retested. So it is really holding you back if you're testing manually. You're not able to be agile and move quickly to adopt the Microsoft releases quickly, and also to adopt your own code releases quickly, which brings us to the next point, which is that manual testing is expensive because of the fact that it's slow and because of the fact that it requires manual work. And that is also limited in scope, because you're always limited by the budget. You can never test as wide as you would like to. You usually limit your test cases to the most crucial ones, to the ones that can bring the most business risk, or can mitigate the biggest business risk. And if you say take all the updates of Microsoft, so 8 updates per year, and it takes you 40 man days to test one update thoroughly, then it will take you 320 man days to just test the updates. And of course, you will also have your own releases, bug fixes, and the real amount of work that you have to spend on manual testing is probably twice as that. Of course, you can test more. You don't need to take every Microsoft update, but even if you take 2 of them per year, which is the minimum, you will have to. It will be expensive doing it manually. And the last but not least common issue that we see clients facing is that they're simply not sure if they're doing this right. They often come from AX 2012 backgrounds where you didn't have to do a big regression test cycle 8 times per year, but rather once per year, or maybe a little bit more often. But this is actually something that an experienced partner can help you with. There's some methodologies, some knowledge on how to approach these testing projects in an optimal way, and often the test automation is also an answer to that. But what is the solution to these common issues? We believe it is automated testing, because first of all, you will of course use your business users in the test planning and test design phase. You will consult them on how to create these test cases, and during regression test cycles, you will consult them on the bugs and issues. And of course, this is an iteration process, so you will be adding more and more test cases with time. But what is very important to stress out is that with test automation, you will create these test scripts once, and then you will execute them tens or hundreds of times at no additional cost. So your business users, your SMEs, your process owners, they won't have to be kept away from their day-to-day job to do the testing. All the testing will be run automatically by robots or scripts on the server side. So it will also vastly increase the reliability of your testing, because test script is just executing logic, just following the exact steps that you design it to, validating everything that you design it to. It doesn't make human errors. Of course, a tester can still record a test case or test script wrongly, so there is some possibility of human error, but of course it's much less than with manual testing. And if you have your 1000 test scripts, your test cases recorded as test scripts, you no longer have to spend 2 weeks going through a whole regression. You can rather schedule the execution overnight or for a couple of hours and just have the results ready for you after this couple of hours. So it vastly increases your agility or your ability to move fast and test everything very quickly. If there are bugs, you can retest the whole, rerun the whole regression test plan again with a few hours, not having to waste 2 weeks of 4 testers to do it. And of course, that means also that there's a lot of cost reduction. Of course, it will be an investment to create these scripts. You will have to spend some time to do that. But even if it takes you the same amount that you now would have to spend on manual testing for the first year, then from the second year onwards, you will just be reaping the rewards, because you will no longer be spending 40 man days per regression test plan, but rather doing it in a few hours overnight. And even within one test cycle, you'll be able to run the whole regression test plan 5 times every day, because it won't be any additional cost for you. And the fifth thing here, of course, test automation, like I said, should be part of your test strategy. Whether you want to test automatically or manually, this should be a decision on the test strategy part. And also the tool selection should be part of that. But as I said, this is something that your partner that is experienced in test automation projects or testing projects in general can definitely help you with. So how to select the right test automation tool? Well, I've listed some criteria here, and in my opinion, the best, really the most important thing is that this test automation tool should be fairly easy to use and quick to start with. You do not want a tool that needs to be run by developers, because developers are hard to come by these days, and they are, of course, expensive. You want a tool that ideally a regular business user or a junior tester can very quickly learn how to use and utilize and get, of course, operational with it. You want ideally as easy to use tool as possible. Of course, you want this tool to be stable and repeatable. Test case recorded once should be possible to run forever, pretty much, until something changes either in the process, in the business process, or in the dynamics in your system. So it's very important that the tool is stable. If you have to spend a lot of time on the maintenance of your scripts, on redoing them, then it's probably not the right test automation tool for you, because it's not really test automation if you cannot reap these rewards of creating script once and then running it hundreds of times. What else? The tool should ideally be as flexible as possible, because that will, of course, increase the efficiency. It will optimize the time that is needed to create this entire test plan consisted of all these test scripts. So if it takes you, let's say, 100 man days to complete a project of 100 test cases in the tool with one tool, and if it takes you 200 man days with another tool, the obvious answer is to go with the first tool, because it will just create a lot of savings for you and well, save you from a lot of trouble. The tool should ideally be integrated with Azure DevOps or your test management tool, because that will help you manage the testing, manage the results of testing, of course, but also communicate with the developers, with consultants, with the project, with the process owners, with the SMEs. The tool will help support your test methodology, of course, and it will just make things much easier for you if you can use your test management tool in combination with the test automation tool. And last but not least, the tool should be proven and reliable. It should be a tool that is ideally used by clients from all the different industries, from around the world. A tool that has a Lindy effect. So, if a tool has been around for 10 years, it's a great indicator of the fact that it will be around for another 10 years. You want a tool that has good reviews. Yeah. And of course, what's the best way of selecting the right tool? I think it's pretty obvious. You need to use all the different tools and make the decision on your own. You need to play with these tools. And I highly recommend you to play with our tool to get a trial of Executive Automats. You can get it on the link that you see on the screen. I will also copy it in the chat in a moment. But in a nutshell, we provide this 2-week trial, special offer for the attendees. Usually we do just 1-week trials. We will give you some basic training at the beginning, 1 hour of training, and then we will support you throughout the trial. You'll get access to our support, who will be happy to help you with the way to provide any help that you may need to evaluate this tool properly. And last but not least, there will also be some even more special offer for all the attendees who will stay with us until the end. And with that being said, I'd like to give the floor to the product manager of the tool, the big brains behind it, Bartosz Piech. Bart, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Matt. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to start the screen sharing, so just give me a second. It should be visible in just a moment. Please confirm if I'm audible and if you can see the screen I'm sharing right now.
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Jake, for the intro. Thank you so much, Matt, for giving us an understanding of what we need to know to pick the perfect tool for test automation. Today, I would like to share with you quite a bit of knowledge we've gained throughout the years of the ERP testing. I'm going to walk you through the executive automats as mentioned, and then we're going to share a bit of the summary, what we've seen this year. Because yeah, that's sad, but this is the last webinar this year. So this will be a quick summary, and we would like to show you what we've been through, what we found out, and what you can expect from us in the next year as well.
Hey, Bart, really quick, just saw in the chat that they can't see the screen yet.
Okay.
Maybe there's a little lag. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, could be.
All right, so please let me know if not, I'm going to reshare in just a second. All right, if in just a minute it will be still the same, I'll just change that.
There's some confirmation on chat that it's fine. Probably there's a little lag for some of the attendees, but don't worry about it.
Perfect, sounds good. So I'm inside of the executive automats. To get inside, you have to have your own code. You have to have your own login and password. This application actually is installed on cloud. We are compatible with on-premises and on cloud solutions. So practically everywhere you can use the executive automats. It might be part of very secure networks with collaborate with pharmaceuticals, military industry, production sites, and PSA services. That's actually every possible market which is on Dynamics Finance and Operations, or FSCM currently, can use this tool. The executive automats can be understood as one centralized platform used for test automation. We want to enable your business users to transfer the business knowledge to IT, so one person can be very effective on the test execution. You can define here UAT environment, pre-release, release, SIT, development environments, everything can be here, along with the virtual user accounts, which are simply the Azure Active Directory accounts that can be later on used for the connection to those environments. So we are simplifying and preparing the environment for the business. When the business connects, they should have everything ready. They should just click start recording, and they should go through the process very smoothly to identify the definitions of the success, to define the criteria of the test case in a very easy way. And we believe that the test automation works only when your test cases can be executed repetitively, that you are able to record once and tens or hundreds of times repeat the same process without your adjustments. And then, as Matt mentioned, you can generate a lot of savings within the year. And if you're going to take a look on what Microsoft actually proposes with the targeted date of the release schedule, that's actually pretty nice pace of, it's not pace, it is a sprint of what you need to do applying to your application the Microsoft updates, considering also the your internal updates, your localization packages or ISV solutions. This creates a massive amount of testing, which was not so often present in 2012, considering the cumulative updates you have to apply. Okay, maybe enough intro. Let me walk you through a basic scripting, basic process recording. Script for us is a continuous business process. So everything that's going to be recorded by the business user or tester will be saved as a script, as a continuous end-to-end process. I'm going to create one process for you. This time it's going to be focused on the sales creation, just simple process, AR sales, AR0 SO creation. What is important, you can define some naming convention for your processes. So then it will be easier to talk about a specific process. It is easier to communicate with everything is perfectly planned. A little bit later on over the session, I'm going to show you some nice concept we've worked out with our customers regarding naming conventions, as well as the way how you can simply organize your test cases. So now the application is loading. This will be update 44 or finance and operations. As you see, I'm not providing any specifics regarding the login of my account. System automatically logs in, so I don't need to provide anything. This opens doors for possibility to work with workflows, to work with different security roles. So I can actually record my business process or sales creation on my system admin and then run this against different roles in the system. So by a side effect, you've got a possibility to cross-check if the role is capable of delivering a specific business process. So right now, I'm just walking through recording of sales creation. On the right-hand side, you see the panel, and this is the latest version of Executive Automates. We released actually this year something called Advanced Recorder, which simplifies the entire process of definition of your test cases, and it's making seamless connection between recorder and player. It helps you out with productivity and the way how you create your test case. As you're going to see on the right hand side, system records every action you do, even if you do mistake, as I've done selection of the wrong item ID, which was blocked by the system. This is secured, and this is possible for correction. So I recorded partially the process. Going to continue with a few more steps to define full process as we want to. And then I'm going to make a quick cleanup. Let's jump into the header view. This will bring us to the position where we've got the document status. And this will give me the possibility to confirm my sales. By confirming, system will change the status. And talking through the system verification and the actual test cases that you should do, or the way how you should test your environment, you shouldn't consider only happy paths. The entire value of testing is actually within the results, within the verification if the transaction is completed, like a change of the status here. The status right now is equal to confirmation. So for us, that's success. If the status next time will not change to this one, or it will be slightly different, we can say that this is the criteria that test case passed. So I'm just right now catching the value of status. So system will automatically next time verify if it is equal to the current value. And the verification of the result is always part of the like a last segment of your test case. So you can have your full process and then tens verifications of values which you need to check if to sort of judge if the process works or not. If we've got this, if we've got the verification, and we can tell that this is everything that we needed. And by the way, this tool I'm using, the inspection, is capable of verifying the value which is visible, including also the information from the system, the info logs, and plus I'm able to do some more advanced elements like a substring, so I can take a fragment of my warning or a fragment of a specific error message or fragment of info log, which informs me about the new journal which was created, which is essential because plenty of systems are, test automation systems are having problems with that. Because there is no direct link between sales and journal, let's say. I'm able to catch that and use for connection to my process. Aside of that verification, you are able to make also a variable. So I can create a customer, save this as a variable, and reuse further. I can create sales, take it as a variable, and verify in master planning if it is there. Either way, I'm going to deactivate my catching of the value. Then I can take a quick look here and actually verify, all right, these two are not important. Actually, I will select an item ID which I don't need, so I can erase those 4 actions to keep it clean. If it is clean, you can use much more byproducts from this entire process. When I'm ready, I can click play. So system will go step by step through our recorded sales order, and it will simply confirm or not if the process works. This recorder and this player brings us into the moment where we have the highest possible effectiveness. Sometimes you are about to record a very long business process, which takes half an hour or more, and you don't want to go from the beginning each time you are checking consistency. You would like to sort of freeze the current business context and then continue naturally whenever we've got elements which we want to verify, or I want to pause my recording, make some dictionary changes, reload and continue. Just to help you out your test cases quickly, so they're going to be effective, they're going to be reliable, they're going to be repeatable and reusable. These are the aspects we are aiming mostly. And I don't know if we mentioned, feel free to write as many questions as you've got on the chat. This tool is actually driven by community. So every customer has significant impact on the way how we evolve. Everybody from our customer sites everybody has the possibility to make a change request that we verify over our roadmap meetings to make sure that we are meeting all requirements from the market, to make sure that you've got tool you can rely on. So at the end of the session, we're going to have some time to walk through the questions, and probably we can stay longer for you to discuss what are your concerns regarding test automation. On the right-hand side, when we are talking, system is going through the sales creation, and it just confirmed that every step of the process is green. So we've got a success. And what I can do, I can simply continue the recording. So I'm in the same business context where I left that, but I'm just sure that everything works. What I can do now, I can apply here some changes, because I could do some mistakes with my recording, or actually the system, I'm just identifying a sub test case I would like to create. So I can change values that I selected within the process. Everything that you selected is flexible, can be changed from the constant. Constant means that with every execution, system will use customer 1333. If you're going to change that to any other value, it will be different for every execution. We've got also picker. Picker is just a shortcut for some functionalities like variables. So I can create customer and tell the system to use here in account number the customer ID that we've just created. We've got data source, which is standing for simply Excel file that you can apply. If you're going to build this simple Excel file that has, let's say, fixed asset name model, and then also the entity, you are able to run one process and by this parameter switch entity. So if you've got one golden process, so a common process that is visible in entire organization, but in every organization, in every entity, you've got slightly different parameters, you are able to record it once, and by this Excel file, iterate. So we've got one Excel file with 3 lines, system will repeat 3 times this specific test case, and it creates in different entity a business object, identifying if it works everywhere. And aside of something called golden process, we are also talking very often about a golden process in another direction, about the longest possible business scenario that you can create, which will be your vital verification, which can be executed weekly for just double checking that our core business process that we are very often doing is just stable. It doesn't have any side effects. Every integration is working perfectly. So the golden process is the longest possible business process that can be defined, which is connected, sort of end-to-end transaction, which can be repetitively executed day by day. Coming back to the list, we've got also sequences and globals. There are 2 very important concepts. Sequence is just helping you build the data uniqueness. So if you are creating one element, let's say product receipt, and the product receipt needs to have the data uniqueness. If you're going to apply the number sequence, each time you're going to run the process, it will deliver you unique data. So this means that even though system requires this, you can apply number sequence and sleep well. Your test cases will be secured due to the data uniqueness. Aside of that, there are elements like expressions in advanced codes. And one thing I think I haven't talked you through is the constant and global concept of values. Global constant is a concept that gives you the chance to define base package of values, which are used throughout the scripts, like sites, like serial numbers or batches, that are sort of shared throughout 100 scripts, but they change once for a while. They change once for a quarter. If you're going to apply that, one change will be automatically distributed to all your test cases. So all your test cases will use the latest ID or latest, let's say, warehouse mobile device PIN and login. So these elements can be very helpful to achieve the reusability aspect. And then the expression advanced code. This is actually limitless. You can do quite a lot in here. You can define the specific behavior. You can invoke some API. You can invoke some REST methods. You can make the HTTP request here. You can connect to the OData. By this, you can do quite a lot. And the advanced code is very often created by our partners. So our partners, they are creating their own intellectual property in executive automates. So when they are delivering executive automates, they are coming with some package of predefined advanced codes. There's actually one more field to talk about, which is comment. And I'm going to walk you through the documentation of it. Basically, some industries, they require to create documents from your process, just for validation perspective, just for validation that you've done the test on that day, and these are the results. So for this, actually industry, we've created a functionality to take your test case with screenshots and convert that into the Word document. If you're going to fill the comment section, this document, aside of the validation perspective, can be utilized for rollouts, for onboardings. So this end-to-end document can describe the new person in your organization, how to build the process. And as a sneak peek, what we are about to release in the Q1 2022 will be a functionality to convert your test cases into the videos. So we are coming from the perspective that you have to have your test cases created and you have to have them up to date, because you are validating if your environment works in a perfect shape, because you want to test if the update works prior to placing this on the production. If your test cases are up to date, your processes are well described, this can be utilized as a knowledge base. So you can invite the business users here so they can learn, they can watch, they can understand the process. And yeah, so a little bit more regarding the process documentation in just a moment. Right now, let's close for just a second the recorder. Of course, I could continue this to add products, packing slip, or make a registration or reservation and then packing slip invoicing, but we're going to keep it simple today. I'm going to close it down. One thing which is very important, as you see after the execution, we've got the average time of the execution. System calculates that and gives you the latest information how it went. In the history of the execution, I've got this the same way. I'm able to see exactly what was validated. And this gives you also some KPI, how much time I needed for the execution. If we're going to run multiple processes in background, I'll be able to see if they are meeting the requirements, if they are not taking too much time. There was one thing in here, dialog box, and this step was actually optional. It was outlined that it might happen or it might not happen. The system has so many functionalities to make sure that your test case will work, doesn't matter of circumstances. If something is visible, dialog boxes are one of the unique elements in the system that are happening just sometimes based on some conditions. So you're able to have some specific validation and some specific subpaths in your test case. In the meantime, I'm going to run my process in the background. So I don't want to see the execution anymore. I just want to see the result. And I'm going to run this with documentation mode. So system will create that document for verification if everything that we created is good. Going forward, in here, we're going to see the execution. You see system is running, so I can just wait for results. In the meantime, you can see here much more information regarding work items which were created in Azure DevOps throughout this process. We've got a change log, so to see what was changed. We've got the documentation list, so what kind of documents were created from this. And coming back to steps, this represents every step that we recorded with timing. And the particular business process right now is just a steps list. But if you are thinking about test case, you should think about a test case like Lego blocks or like a puzzles from which you, pixels from which you create a big picture of your business process. If I've got my process already recorded, but I would like to extend that, I can add into my script another process as embedded script. So I can create here massive end-to-end scenario, which intercharge the data in between elements. So I can create customer, separate process. I can create sales, then master planning, then the collection letters, and then reconciliation if the customer finally pays. This and much more can be done as an embedded process. And if you're going to walk through the system using those, let's say, sealed test cases, it is sometimes much easier to maintain them because you are maintaining one element and it is distributed across a lot of business scenarios. I'm going to right now deactivate that to make sure that it's going to be not executed because this was picked randomly. In the meantime, system notified me that it worked. We've got a success, so I can download the documentation from my process. And this is something interesting. The documentation has status. So able to sign off the document to make sure that I'm delivering to the business users the exact documents they wanted, the verified one, the actual business process. So they can just walk through sales creation by identifying what to click, what to select to build USO and confirm that. The comments then are visible on the exact step. So the user can follow the exact comments. At the end, we're going to have the summary, and we're going to have also verification what was checked. So confirmation is equal to confirmation from this field. In here, we can apply some corporate templates. You can do quite a bit more regarding that, aside of just setting up the statuses. All documents later on are visible here in documentation module, so you are able to build quite a lot of knowledge base. When your test case is ready, you've done everything what you needed regarding your business process, you are able to publish your test case. What does it give you? This gives you the possibility to push your test case into the Azure DevOps, this automatically creates the test case there underneath a specific test plan. And what is very important, next moment when I'm going to run my test case in the background, the results can be tracked down into the DevOps. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to actually come back a little bit backwards to the beginning of our presentations, when I was introducing to you the projects, just quickly, projects are aggregation level. So if you are identifying all test cases, you have to have some level how you're going to save that. You can save them based on modules. You can save them based on work streams. So when I'm creating, as an example, the sales creation, I'm going to embed that underneath the account receivable or sales to cash processes. If I'm going to do that, then I can actually run all my processes from a specific area or full regression suite. All the results, they're going to be mapped in DevOps by this integration. Thanks to that, the Azure DevOps can be understood as one centralized point where you've got the progress report, where you see all runs, where you see the artifacts created from test cases. So I'm able to identify quickly what kind of error message was created from the test case, and I can apply to developer the bug or the issue. Let's do that in the history. If I'm going to notify that some test cases failed, I can go inside, I can show the errors and warnings. All right, that's actually quite interesting. Step number 7 failed. I can create the work item. I can open up DevOps by this link, and I can apply this to Jacob Davis. I hope Jake can fix it up quickly, and he will come back to us with the results by this. There's an entire flow we can follow, which simplifies the entire end-to-end testing, especially to make sure that the test manager has full transparency what is going on the project. So as you've got your projects aggregation, as you've got your test cases recorded, so I've got my test suite, I've got my test plan ready. If you are changing some posting profile, some core functionality, core configuration of a particular module, thanks to your aggregation, you are able to run just enough test cases to validate if your changes are not affecting stability of the system. So let's say posting profile in account receivable, I'm running all test cases which are published in account receivable module, plus maybe some few from the other sales and marketing module. If I'm going to do change to some general ledger, probably I need to run quite a lot of processes from GL and sales purchases. Actually, this is quite broad, so the regression will be quite significant. But this gives you a quick response to some problems. I'm going to show you some examples exactly on our graph in just a moment. So let's jump into the scheduler. The scheduler is the functionality to plan your test cases. So if you would like to run Friday tests, which are going to be actually regression for our sprint, so you can just tell the name, set description, set up this also as a Gantt execution, put the results in DevOps. And right now we can go inside of the scheduler to the Gantt and pick what we want to execute. Again, the aggregation level, perfect description, naming convention, it will just help you to pick just exact processes to make sure that you test enough. I'm going to pick few from the top, and now system shows them in here as a list, and I can make a quick logic between them. I can tell the system, all right, I would like to execute sales order creation, and right after it ends, let's run SRP price agreements. And then when this is in the middle, I would like to run a few other test cases. What does it give you? This gives you a unique way, a unique possibility to simulate some situations, some testing, which is impossible to be delivered within a singular execution, or moreover, it will be impossible to do that in manual testing, because some bugs are happening only when you've got this combination of transactions which are overlapping and they are making a deadlock on the database, or they are just so heavily stressing the environment that system is not able to handle. This can be here quickly set, and you are able to, excuse me, you are able here to set up some repeat counts. So some of those processes will be executed in parallel on number of sessions. So you are able to make even a 1 day after go live test. We've been lately on one of the Microsoft Fast Track sessions where it was quite understandable, the intention that there is not a specific tool which gives you the chance to do 1 day after go live test. We were able to do that. And we're going to walk you through that on the byproducts, but that's in just a moment. Gantt can be a perfect tool to help you build that 1 day after go live session. Aside of the scheduler, as mentioned, we've got the documentation. So here I can just browse to see all documents created from these sessions. And plus to that, everything here can be manageable. And I was mentioning that when you are creating here the user, you are able to apply a specific role. So the user can see a specific project and the user can see specific module. So I'm able to create an account in Executive Automats, which will see just documentation tree and just published documents. Perfect thing for knowledge sharing. All right. Aside of that, as mentioned, we've got quite a bit of things to show you. I would like to walk you through automation byproducts. The process documentation, quite clear, but what about the security? Security role setup. This is a thing which came up lately as our separate product line and the service line. We are able to utilize your recorded test cases from Executive Automats or from task recording and extract from them entry points, build out of that duties and roles which can be applied to your user. And the approach is very simple. We want to limit number of roles in the system, make them position-based, make them position in organization-based. So you are simply building role for sales manager, purchase manager, and that role consists all responsibilities, all processes that that person handles. This gives you the chance to have precise, tailored role, which has limited number of entry points, which is simplifying the user interface. So the users are not distracted by amount of functionalities that they could use, and they are simply making less mistakes. And the licensing is very important because sometimes you've got a very simple position like sales representative in the system, which is making sales and customers. And typically it will be a team member or activity license. If you're going to take some accounts receivable manager or clerk, you may higher up this, elevate the license to the operational level. So there is a significant optimization from the licensing cost perspective if you're going to do it right. And this is something we encourage just to try the approach of security setup wizard. And the last one, but not least, is the performance testing. Performance testing is a heavy activity we are lately doing, and we are able to simulate tens, hundreds, or even thousands of users working in the system to make sure that the blueprints that you are delivering to Microsoft when you are concerned about effectiveness of your on-cloud environment, if the blueprint is meeting the requirement. If yes, then if the load test will show that it is good, we are able to handle that. That's perfect. If not, you can just rescale your environment before you're going to run on production issues. And we've done this activity with few customers, and this is something I'm going to show you. I would like to share with you actually two of those activities lately we were delivering. This was cloud environment, tier 5, so highest possible specs with 6 AOSs for batch and 6 AOSs for business logic calculation. And take a look, we were able to drag down most of the AOSs, and actually we killed them for just a second, and we caused some downtimes of the AOSs. We were able to stress out practically to maximum. There was some limit set on the CPU, so we were able to take it to the ceiling. The time of the execution of particular process was skyrocketing, and we were not able to log into some AOSs as well. So we've proved that within the configuration that customer will start the session might be not enough. So they need another pair of AOSs because the amount they've got now and the amount which are planning for further months or quarters in the year will just grow. They're going to enroll new entities. They're going to expand. So this just was a red light for go live to make sure that this will be rescaled and to secure the productivity, to secure the stability of the system. Quick project. It took us about a week time with all set up regarding the hardware setup, the environments, so DevOps activity, accounts creation, quite a bit of stuff to do, but the results are astonishing. Plus the second one, smaller environment, but also it was very attractive thing to us. We actually like to break things. We were able to kill a smaller environment, which was on-prem. And as you see here, we are able to use, by just leveraging 270 users in parallel on the system, we've actually created a load, which again, the result was we were not able to connect to Dynamics, even though when we were able to connect, the delay and lag, how we were operating in the system, was just not acceptable for the business. So this was a proof that they need more enhancements to make sure that this will be stable after go live. And now I would like to jump into the flowchart I prepared for you. This is the process that one of our customer is going through with every test cycle. This is the core of our today's session. Aside of the license that we are providing, the executive automates, the tool, and those super nice ideas we are gathering from clients, we also are delivering services. And we see quite a bit. We've seen multiple customers which are struggling with the way how to build test cases, how to actually create a process which is using executive automates and DevOps, or actually just make some automation or just testing and DevOps. We were discussing internally and with customers, and we proposed that to the customers. And we see one customer especially, which is using this, and they like the results. They are keeping this throughout new test cycles. So I think this will be nice to share with you. On the left-hand side, we've got the test case definition and the aggregation level. So they need to map. They had to do this work. They had to understand what they've got in the system. They had to set some naming conventions. They had to place some aggregation level. And when this is done, when the processes are mapped and recorded, then the whole story begins. The whole story begins in the DevOps, where we create epic, and the epic is describing what this is about to be, it's about to begin. This is a duty of task manager in smaller organizations, or program director, program manager in the bigger ones. Of course, the positions might be differently coded, but just want to give you the feeling. So there is a responsibility to create an epic which identifies the areas which might be affected by the code change, by the new release, which is ongoing. Aside of that, you are defining responsibility. Who will be responsible for development, configuration, bug fixes, environment setup, and data. One of the things which we found out with that customer is that the data entity is super nice here. Here, when you are using data entity, and let's say you are testing workflows, configurations regarding security, and some dictionaries, you need to repetitively create that settings before you start your regression testing. And if you would like to have up-to-date data on the test system, or SIT, this configuration, the reconfiguration, is a painful process. If you're going to set this, save this as a data entity, and simply enroll the data any moment you do the production flash, then you simply save a lot of time. And it is good to have somebody who will take care of that for data management. So when the epic is created, this is dedicated to the test manager, and the test manager is communicated with the business. So the test cycle starts, and the business is informed that these areas might be affected. We've got here an example of purchase department, sales, and the warehouse department. All of them, they've got 6 cards. So these 6 cards stand for 100% of their core system, or of actually from the test plan, 100% what they've got. And each department, each process owner is having their own task underneath the epic. And in that task, we've got a full communication. we've got a person who is responsible, and the test manager asks for definition, what should be tested. The business user tells we need to test the agreements, pricing list, and master planning. Another area also outlines, and the third area as well. This is taken by the test manager who built a scheduler or just a test plan for execution, and this is actually executed. After the execution, the results are transferred underneath the specific task. So if my colleague Matt just is responsible for a very important aspect of purchasing area in the system, I'm coming back to him as a test manager that 30 successes, so 34 overall test cases were executed, 30 successes, 4 error messages. So those 4, they've got something to take a look at. The business needs to verify if that's okay. So if business tells us that the results are positive because this is an income, this is a outcome of new functionalities, new configuration change, which comes from the new update or deployment. They can approve. This approval also has to be converted into the test case. I mean by this, you have to modify your test cases. So next time they're gonna not fail, they're gonna simply be again success. And you have to do that for all of the areas. When all areas are accepted, the test cases are just outlining that all areas are tested and the results are approved by the business, we've got a status done, which means that testing cycle ended, the results are positive, we can deploy the version on the production. And in case that you found out some error messages, some bugs out of our elements, the bugs are created, and then developer or consultant can reuse the test case. And this is something which is very often missed in the calculation of return on the investment. When you do your 100% of testing, there is an amount about 30 up to 40% you have to retest, or sometimes even more, but statistically saying that you need to always do to make sure that your test cases, your bug fixes that are addressing those bugs are not ruining another element in the system. So you need to retest. Using the test automation, developer or consultant can, on their own, without asking the business, they can reproduce the process, reproduce the bug, and they can iterate until they're going to have an idea how to create the fix. When the fix is delivered, test manager can once again run the full regression, quick smoke test to verify if everything is addressing the problems and they are actually sure that the result will again deliver success. So this quick verification is done right now quickly on every release cycles. This is perfect approach as far we see, because this gives you a perfect trackability. You're able to take a look what was done each cycle. Then you can see internally in that cycle, how it went, what kind of tasks were tested, what was the communication between the users, what was fixed. So if the audit comes, if you're a highly validated industry, this might be a nice thing to have. Aside of that, and much more actually to show, I would love to jump into the second slide as we are just close to the end of the session. And of course, we're going to spend some time on the Q&A to make sure that we are helping you also understand other concepts. I'm going to just jump into the presentation once again. Okay. RSAT, obvious question. And being frank with you, most of our customers are the customers which are former RSAT users. If you're going to type on Jammer RSAT issues, you're going to dive into the quite a nice stories. We've seen customers that are just coming to us after the first cycle of RSAT because it was not productive. They had 70 test cases to run. It took it 2 weeks, and the validation results, the documents which supposed to be a proof of testing, actually they were making just a screenshot of the top of the screen. So fields which were hidden down below on the screen was not visible. Plenty of things didn't work. And for smaller projects, it might be applicable, but when you talk about bigger release cycles and very often repeatable processes, it might be quite hard to handle. Plus, we had internally as well quite a bit of problems to have full stability of the RSAT, because we also do services, and some customers, they ask us to start with the RSAT as a Microsoft partner. As you may know, we are not only doing testing and we are also implementing dynamics. We are also doing upgrades, and we are doing quite a bit of rollouts. We have to use various products, so we are able to make a very nice comparisons. But it is hard to compare the RSET. It is always good to try to come back to us, because then you've got very precise questions, and we can show you how the journey of test automation can be affordable and can be something can help you, not distract you from your daily work. This and much more can be told by Jake, and I think Jake, right now, stage is yours. So walk us through the offer we've got for the audience. Thank you so much.
Awesome, and thanks for that, Bart. Really good job, good information as usual, buddy. Yeah, so we've got an offer here for attendees. We have a free proof of concept that we're doing for people who want to take a look at the tool. We obviously have a free trial that you can get anytime, but this proof of concept, we really dive in with you and discuss something specific for you, and then show you exactly whether or not the tool can handle that. Of course, the tool can't do everything, so yeah, we're happy to jump into a proof of concept and show you how it could work for you. What this means is it's 2 weeks of either regression testing, performance testing, and of course, process documentation comes along with that whenever you're doing this. Our D365 experts will be there providing full support and helping you out during the trial and also working on your POC. It does also come, the trial, with a free 1-hour training to get you started. And as you can see, the offer is valid. You can sign up for it until the end of Friday this week, Friday, December 3rd. So all you need to do is fill out the form. As you can see, the link here, executiveautomats.com. It's our website. /EA-free-trial. So you can find it there and sign up. We're happy to dive in and see what questions you have and help you answer everything. So that's a little bit about our free trial and POC that we're offering. So I encourage you to do that. And with that said, I think it's time for some questions from the audience. We've got a few left in the Q&A that I think, Bart, you can help us answer. And so with that, let's go ahead and dive in and get to answering these questions.
Yeah, I have one from the chat from Martin, which is a good one, actually. But I will read it out. But if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A. It will be easier for us to manage it. We've got some already waiting to be answered, but let me start with this one from the chat. So what would you say are best practices for automation of multiple entities in different countries where data differs?
Oh, Matt, I think I had some lag on the, can you please repeat the question?
Sure. So what would you say are the best practices for automation of multiple entities in different countries where data differs?
Sure. So normally we start with something like a golden template, and that approach is very effective. We are outlining what processes, which of those processes are shared. We can say that we've got that template, which is everywhere practically, and there are just slight differences for local processes. For that approach, we create an Excel file, as you may see before, the Excel file which consists data per entity. So when you run the test case, it automatically jumps throughout all of the entities and test it out. And this simplifies the execution process, of course. And aside of your global template, you can have your local test suite, which addresses specific processes which are dedicated for entity. Italian ones, specific reporting, standard audit file, and we've got one. Then Germany or Israel, everything is from the right side to the left side. So you have to change actually entire your test plan. It might be very specific local one. Another ones, they are so close to, let's say, Germany, Austria, they've got very similar elements. So you can treat this very often as one test plan. So definitely identification of processes which are common, which are local, can help you out. Plus, then usability of the Excel file can be critical. And I think this approach with with defining this process in DevOps will be very helpful as well. I hope that's answered the questions.
Thank you, Bart. Let me read one more from Łukasz. Is it possible to combine tests based on Dynamics with a test of a mobile application, which uses data from the Dynamics database? Part of the process is reported in the mobile application and part in Dynamics.
So we don't have a specific functionality which works with mobile application aside of Dynamics integrations like Warehouse Mobile Device. Mobile device, which we've got, can be integrated due to the task validation app which exists, or simply the application which is the WHS execute extension of Dynamics. Those two we support. We don't support any specific native mobile device which is not connected straightforward with Dynamics. We can help ourselves with some integrations, definitely. And it might be tempting to start using here Power Apps. The integration with
Power Automate.
Power Automate, thank you, Matt. Where we could start doing that. We are doing quite a bit of in that area, and I think I can't say right now we're going to handle this straight away, but we can test it out within the POC via Power Automate.
Thank you. If the company is going live with the fast track, no change requests, is there a way to recycle test cases from another project, other but similar company?
So, okay, I think if I get the question, if you would like to reuse test cases throughout different clients as a partner, that's definitely a possibility. And this is something which few partners are doing. They are building a library of test cases, which are dedicated to the industry and they don't change so much. So they would like to use even just a template of it. So it will be one process less for recording, and it will be just slightly adjusted to the specific entity. So there might be some possibility to reuse from different clients on some test cases, or share with colleagues some test cases that you do in the system. Some processes or recalculation or some random ones, they are simply the same. And due to the fact that Dynamics Finance and Operations is not anymore our beloved sandbox as AX 2012, where we actually could develop a game inside, like a horse races, which were standard. On Finance and Operations, due to the simplicity and the Microsoft's approach, it might be possible, and we see much more interest in the partners regarding that area. So that depends, of course, on how much differences they've got, but I think some percentage can be reused.
Thanks, Julie, for this question. Let me read one out from Fatih. Can we have test cases where an import into D365 is necessary as part of the test script, i.e. when testing interfaces, upload an Excel simulating interface message? If that is possible, then can the tool change content of the file at every run, i.e. override message ID in the file and generate new one at every run?
That's a perfect question, and this is something which will be addressed in the new releases. One of our customer wanted to have a file generator because this is exactly process they are handling. You are able to catch the outcome of the transaction, a file which is created. You are able to apply a file in the test case, but this will be one file which will be repetitively used. So we don't have the possibility yet to modify the file which is a part of the test case. You are able very easy to re-upload, so to add a new one. Again, it doesn't give us the reusability we are dreaming of, but the file generator idea will be something we want to do in 2022. So you'll be able to create this logic that creates an XML file, which will be uploaded anytime, and apply there some number sequences to make the data unique. This is something we are aiming for. Now you can think of some other type of requests from the advanced code, which might work as well.
Awesome. And, I think this can be the last one here. There's a couple questions about the price range or licensing costs. We'll follow up with you in an email on that. But we do have one other question, Bart. It says, let's say I have a test case that creates, for example, one sales line in a sales order. How easy is it to reuse that test case and instead of just one sales line, have two or more sales lines? And then they said, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. Yeah, that's quite easy. You are able to add a logic which will make repetitions or loops inside of the test case. So you can define definition of one line, then define a conditional step, which will just jump to the first place where you're adding the line and just repeat until you reach the counter. So you can define the counter, how many lines you're gonna receive. If it is 100, then set it as 100. 100 lines continues to the end. You are able to make infinite loops. This is actually introduction to the performance testing as well, if you would like to stress test the sales line inserts. But it is very easy, as this is just a function you add as a step, which is the conditional, which makes your test case loop on every step that you select.
All right. Awesome. So yeah, I think that finishes up here with the Q&A. So Bart, as usual, man, really good job, really good information. Mateusz, same to you. Always enjoy hearing you guys speak on this topic. So really, really appreciate it. Definitely do check out the website, and Matt has posted the link to the free trial again in the chat, so you can grab that, but you can also find it on our website, executiveautomats.com. It's quite easy to see and find there. So highly encourage you to do that. We love talking with people about their testing needs and so forth. Really, we learn something every time we speak with a new customer. So thanks again, everyone. And Bart, Matt, always a good time.
Thank you so much. And all the best at the end of the year, because as mentioned, this will be the end session for this year. So we highly encourage you to visit us on the website, visit us on another webinars on AXCG Summit. We are very frequently joining, this time pandemic again, but hopefully next year we're going to see each other on the sessions that we are hosting as a sponsor. Yeah, and thank you so much, because we see plenty of people are joining frequently to our sessions to see what new we are doing. And yeah, Happy New Year, and talk to you soon.
Have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye-bye.